things haven't gone well for our agents. I would like to basically fade in from black a close-up on Max Bauman. He's laying on the street in Groversville. You can hear cicadas calling in the warm, late summer afternoon. As he opens his eyes, he coughs into the ground, and dust and pebbles scatter across the asphalt. And slowly, he gets up off of the road, gasping as he finds bruises and patches of road rash on his body. But he gets to his feet. He looks down the street where the FBI's van, undercover surveillance van, has come to rest against a telephone pole. Its horn blares nonstop. Steam rises from the shattered front end. And he watches as a couple of shouting firefighters from the fire station not far down the road run toward the apparent traffic accident. He considers what to do until there's a gust of wind and a cracked and leaking spray bottle rolls along the street and kind of thuds into his foot. He picks the bottle up and starts to walk away from the van, away from his fellow agents, who he isn't ready to see what has become of them, for good or otherwise. He can hear sirens as the town responds to the accident. He keeps walking, picks gravel from his elbows and his knees as he goes. A black and white helicopter begins to circle the town. He makes his way across the interstate, waiting for traffic, looking left and right, and then dashing up the hill to the town's reservoir. Still carries the broken spray bottle. And as he steps up to the water, still limping, he clicks on a UV pen light that he had in his pocket with one hand. With the other, he unscrews the broken lid of the spray bottle. A little bit of the solution sloshes over his hand and kind of down his shirt and his pants. And he goes and carefully gets down to a sitting position at the edge of the water. And he shines the UV flashlight at the surface of the reservoir as he upends all that's left in this bottle of the solution. And he watches silently as the water in the reservoir sparkles and glows, full of protomatter. And then he turns the light on himself. On his hands, they glow magenta spots here and there. Where the solution spilled on him, it's all over him. Even the places where his skin is rough and road rashed, there are sparkles of magenta glow, as if there are particles of protomatter in his bloodstream.
Oh my god.
He just drops the flashlight, doesn't bother to turn it off, pulls his cell phone from his pocket, and begins to dial quietly, almost in a fugue state. Some hours later, in Washington, D.C., a fancy voicemail machine, answering machine, comes to life. The the reel-to-reel tape recorder begins to turn automatically. A red light blinks on, showing that it's being recorded. There's an automatic beep after an announcement that you have reached Dusty's dry cleaning service. A voice comes over the line. It says, "This is Special Agent James Derringer. The Groversville op is burned. J-Cell is presumed KIA or MIA save one. Protomatter confirmed in municipal water reservoir.
Shit.
I have my suspicions what's behind all of it, but there's no public exposure, no official acknowledgement. I recommend full quarantine under FEMA, cover story, and reassignment of assets." And there's a click as he lays the phone down. Around the same time, we see bright afternoon light streaming in through the white curtains of a hospital. We can see out into the September sunlight, but not enough to know where we are. In a bed with the back up just a few degrees, covered in medical tape, IV in her arm, we see Blake. Blake isn't sure where she is, other than that she's been told that she's in a small regional medical center, that there was an accident. And it's been a few hours since Blake woke up for the first time.
Does she remember the whole thing in the car?
Yeah, right up until that searing moment where you hit the light pole. It's all perfectly clear, and you haven't yet had a chance to speak with anybody who you could possibly share any of that with. But after the doctors and nurses woke you up and talked to you about your symptoms, and there are worries about, neurological problems potentially coming out of this accident. You don't know anything about any of your fellow agents. What happened to Kurt, Max, Eli? You haven't heard about any of that. And then a man in a dark suit opens the door to your hospital room. He has a red tie over a white and blue pinstripe shirt, Mediterranean features, looks at you coldly as he steps in and introduces himself as Agent Castillo. Behind him comes a shorter, older man, balding, never says much, but introduces himself as Agent Moses. He opens a folder and jots notes as Agent Castillo sits down at your bedside. He even surreptitiously keeping it below the level of your bed, he pulls something out of his pocket. It beeps a couple of times. He surreptitiously waves it around the room, looks over to Agent Moses and says, "Clean." And then he looks at you and he says, "Agent Castillo, Delta Green, I'm here to talk to you about what happened." Can you tell me what happened in Groversville?
Well, how much do you know? Do you know why I was sent there?
He nods and he says, I've got the background from Agent Derringer. What we want to know, specifically, is what went wrong. How did we lose control of this situation? He looks at you with piercing brown eyes while Agent Moses scribbles in his notebook.
I'm trying to decide internally if I need to be suspicious of these people. Does Delta Green have any sort of identifying, like in Mission Impossible where they have passphrases and stuff?
The term Delta Green itself is basically a passphrase. Nobody who isn't part of Delta Green knows that term.
Okay, sick. Then I don't have to.
Yeah, you don't feel like there's a lot of you need to identify or they clearly know enough to be in the right here.
Okay.
And Castillo says, you don't need to give me every detail. We'll get there. Why don't you tell me the short version first?
Well, as you know, we were sent here to investigate a man Spivey. Is that Billy Ray Spivey? Do I have that name right?
Yeah.
While we were just starting to look into his friends and family and try to get a handle on what could have possibly happened, we were running into all of these really weird things that we couldn't explain. I have an idea now how all of this might be connected, but in short, there seems to be some sort of infection or chemical or alien matter that is causing all of these things, and I will explain about the guy in the bathtub with the thing on his forehead.
Scott Adams.
Scott Adams and his weird alien mole. And and the baby situation. I think that my character would probably have a hard time emotionally talking through the incident with the baby and the birth. Maybe I'll leave some details out of that, but rest assured it was a very emotional time. So that's kind of a difficult story to tell.
Blake is maybe having trouble speaking, talking about this proto-matter. And
she asks if she can get some tea, so that she can have something to drink during this.
Yeah, and Agent Moses even gets up and goes out to get you a water bottle and a cup of hot water from the coffee dispenser in the hallway, a tea bag. The interview continues. We cut to a very, very similar room, the same furniture, the same hospital drapes, another room with a window looking out to twilight. The glow of the end of the day. Eli, similarly wrapped up in IV tubes, bandages, barely able to move in his hospital bed. And the same two agents. Agent Moses sits in the corner taking notes. Agent Castillo drags a chair over by your bed and sits, and we cut to him asking Eli, what was your experience with this protomatter, as you call it?
Well, it does not respond well to conventional weaponry. It felt like putting your hand in viscous jelly, almost like a syrup, but was solid. You'd grab at it and it would just flow through your hands. Firearms, we believe, would be of limited use. But again, we were in a confined space with a subject that was 100% protomatter.
Castillo looks down at a notepad and gives a curt nod and says, the next question I was going to ask you is how you could confirm that this imposter was not really Kurt Becker.
I believe we used a solution that, when put under light, a certain light, would show if it was protomatter or not. I think it was an accident at first, and then we got suspicious. He was not acting anywhere like himself. It seems that they were being able to make a physical copy, but not a mental copy. So it became clear very quickly this was not the same person.
He gives you a nod and he says, we cut back to afternoon sunlight streaming into Blake's room, and Agent Castillo is asking, and did you have any suspicions or conclusions about the origin of this protomatter?
I don't think that we did.
No, I don't think we did either. I don't, like, above table here, I don't remember us finding any source of it.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, we just didn't even get that far. I feel a little ashamed to admit that we didn't even learn that much about it. I don't actually have that much information. I can only tell you what happened.
Castillo nods and flips a page in his notebook. We switch back to Eli in a darker room. Agent Moses looks at his watch. He just says out loud, almost 7 o'clock, and he stands up, sets his folder down on his chair, and walks over to the TV up in the corner of the room by the ceiling. He reaches up, flips it on, while Agent Castillo says, did you notice anything odd about the water? The water in the town.
I noticed that a lot of people spend a lot of time up at the reservoir. What was the name of the dude who had like 2 things named after him in that town?
Oh, Merle Barn.
Yeah.
Yeah, Merle.
We came across Merle Barn, who's about as close as you get to the owner of a town. And he was always there at the reservoir fishing, but I've never seen him catch anything. Now maybe he did, but he felt like I think he knew way more than he was ever saying.
We cut back to Blake's room where Agent Castillo says, "We know about Merle Barn," and he unfolds a sheet of glossy paper. It looks like it was either like a mailer that went out or a maybe one of those stiff ad pages that they will put into a magazine. He unfolds it. There are creases along the center, and he hands it over to you. And he says, "The last time Merle Barn was seen, it was in the process of, as you might say, selling the town. The whole place is being reincorporated." He
By who?
hands this over to you. Oh, let me bring it to the front. That's not working, of course, so I'll move it over here. How about that? And he just says,
Tennessee.
"Do you know anything about a potential connection between between Promise Incorporated and Merle Barn? Did your investigation lead to any connections there?"
Right now. Like I said, I feel like they were protecting whatever this was pretty closely. We had just gotten our first real, angle on this in finding the kid's girlfriend and the loss of time and finding out about the protomatter. But then there was a mysterious fire at the town hall, and that's when things began to really go to shit.
And as you're saying this, Agent Moses over in the corner is reaching as tall as he can to repeatedly click the volume up button on the front of the hospital TV, and a local news report is on. The corporation Promise Incorporated, which recently bought stake in the small town of Groversville, Tennessee, has promised to rehabilitate the stricken town after the major chemical spill following a fire in their town hall. Sources familiar with the incident say that many of the town's residents are evacuating to other areas of Tennessee, but the corporation has offered generous resettlement packages, and he turns it back down. He says, "Sorry, a little too loud."
That is not good. We cannot have people moving out of this town. The protomatter is going to escape.
We don't know if all of those people are all protomatter replacements.
And the two agents look at each other as each of you on your own express that there's danger behind this. There's the potential for things getting out. And they to both of you say, and we can even like split screen your two rooms at two different times. And Agent Castillo, almost in sync in both rooms, says, "Do you still consider yourself fit for future operations?"
There's a beat, I guess, where like the camera would shift over to Eli sitting there, and he's like really busted up because he was in the passenger seat.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like burns from the fire, from the electrical station. Trying to think what kind of permanent injuries you would have from hitting that. I don't remember what speed that we hit at. 30 miles an
Yeah,
hour.
like a broken
35,
collarbone
40,
and
45, somewhere around there, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's bad enough that, in a mid-90s, utility van, there was probably no airbag on that side, and Eli probably got thrown into the dashboard pretty badly.
I think it's. I don't even know, because he was in the back originally. So
Right.
I don't even think he had a seatbelt on. So he was probably ejected. But he also, as far as game mechanics, had the most health left afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that while busted up, I don't think there was anything permanent. Like, I don't think he ever lost like an eye or like a limb or anything specific. But he's pretty scarred. He is.
Yeah, there's a long rehabilitation process.
And there's just almost, I think maybe a couple of moments before he just sort of looks off screen or wherever the guy was talking, and he's like, "You just say when and where, sir."
And that what follows is a montage of the following months before he's able to get out of the hospital. We cut to Blake, similarly wrapped up. You were driving. You're probably the only one who would have had a chance to buckle up.
Yeah, especially because I was telling other people to buckle up.
Yeah.
So I would have done that. Wow. So he's like, "You ready to go again?"
Yeah.
I think that Blake would say, "Why don't you let me make it through, like, recover myself physically? I am happy to continue therapizing Delta Green agents. And I would request that if you ever felt like you needed me in the field again, I can decide then."
You hear the clack as Agent Moses in the back of the room clicks his pen's nib back in on the cover of the binder, and he closes it with a snap. The two agents stand, and Castillo says, "Focus on recovering. It'll be a while if we call again." And the pair of suited men step out of the room. And now we're gonna zoom out, narratively speaking, and what I would love is like at least like a scene or a montage or some moments that you think show what your character is thinking and feeling after this operation goes so wrong. What's it like when they get home or when they get out of the hospital? How do they reconnect with loved ones, with their bonds?
Well,
Blake.
Oh, go ahead. You go first.
This is incidentally like a thing that Blake is really good at. At like taking care of herself, like physically and emotionally. She is, I guess that's not incidentally, that's like her whole personality.
Totally.
So, so she is going to like call her mom and have her mom come to visit her in the hospital. And her explanation of why she's in this weird small town is because there is a like a tourist trap, kind of like, you know, those like gas station tourist traps. Like when you go on a road trip and there's like the aliens landed here and now you can eat beef
the
jerky
alien
from
jerky
this...
kind of places. Yeah.
Yeah. She's gonna talk about how like there's a thing here like that she wanted to see that's like the biggest rubber band ball or like something like that.
And your mom hears that and just throws her arms around you, says she was so worried when she learned that you were in Tennessee, that you were near Groversville, which is in the national news now, because the town's been quarantined. There's a huge government EPA cleanup effort going on around the city, and you ended up in the hospital not far away. And she just gives you a hug that just glad that you're okay.
It's gonna make me cry in real life. She is gonna spend some time. She's gonna do like some like therapy sessions with her own therapist.
Yeah.
But over the phone, because we don't have Zoom at this time. So she'll like spend some time on the phone with her therapist. She will ask her mom to go and like buy her a new journal so that she can start writing and like working through her feelings through writing in her journal and writing out drafts of letters that she wishes she could send to that one patient from some years ago that she could never save.
Yeah.
And sometimes she writes letters to that person without sending them, just as an exercise.
Now, as much to her mother and her therapist and to her own journal, how does Blake explain her injuries? What's her story to the rest of the world about how she ended up in a serious auto accident at the same time as there was this big chemical spill in Groversville?
I think she's gonna explain that she had met some other women while she was like exploring the town, and they wanted to like get together for brunch or lunch the next day, and I decided to take a to like, I don't know, like maybe I've rented a car, and yeah. So I like took my rental car, and I was on my way, and I got in this really big car accident, and that's how I got hurt. And I can even talk about my like injuries and the trauma of such a like sudden incident
Yeah.
that like makes me think about like life and death. Even if I'm mostly actually talking about the like freaky baby situation and like how scarred I am over that. But like getting in a big car accident, I think could be a good like substitute
Yeah,
for
absolutely. I mean,
freaky baby.
you've got livid
Existential
bruises
crisis.
across your
Yeah.
chest and across your waist where the seatbelt was. You know, little pieces of glass cut your face and your hands when you impacted. There's a burn or two from when molten metal from the substation as it melted down kind of landed on you. But overall, Blake probably doesn't end up quite as scarred, and a simple traffic accident is a good explanation.
I think that one of Blake's main like parts of her character is that she's like exercised her resilience as if it's a muscle. Like she has all of these little like resilience rituals in her life that can help bolster her mental health. And she has a couple of people also in her life who like are also mentally and emotionally pretty healthy.
Yeah.
And so she has like an incredible support system. Like she'll probably go stay with her mom for a while and like take a sabbatical from her job and like take the time to really like work through her feelings on this and recover. Ooh, I bet her mom. I'm imagining her mom is like a little bit like Martha Kent-esque, but not as country, like not as hard farm, but like maybe like a small farm with like a really big like garden patch, and there's like a wraparound porch with a swinging chair on it that Blake can sit on and like drink her tea and feel her hair rustle in the wind as she like heals herself internally.
Yeah. Absolutely. And while I think of it, as Blake begins to recover, and this will go for Eli as well. But do you think Blake looks into anything? Does she have any curiosity about figuring out what happened to her other fellow agents after the fact, or digging any deeper into any of the cover story that's put out? Obviously, the fact that Groversville was this UFO hotspot for years, and then suddenly there's a government cleanup of a spill, a mysterious chemical spill that requires the whole town to be quarantined and evacuated. This sends the conspiracy theorists into a tizzy, and people all over the country are looking into this. But does Blake and does Eli join in on any of this, or have they learned all they want of this situation?
No, Eli is a soldier, and the war's not over. Like, he was injured, but he wants to get back, especially as a combat medic, like, leaving other people behind was not something he enjoys. And so, one, they never recovered their comrade's body.
Yeah.
And that bothers him a lot. And he doesn't know if that guy that was in the van was a copy, or if that was him. And until he knows, he's going to assume his body's still out there, and he's going to find it.
Yeah, well, and you ran into and were able to talk to Blake in the hospital, but you also, in your recovery after the fact, you don't hear anything of Max.
Oh, well, shit. Well, yeah, so now he's going to go find that kid, too. What the hell happened to Max? I mean, I don't know if Delta Green would tell us anything about it, or...
Oh, absolutely not. They only have questions for you and no answers.
Okay, so they don't have any idea what happened to him.
Yeah, aside from your debrief with Castillo and Moses, you hear nothing from Delta Green whatsoever for years.
Okay. Well, that's certainly a choice. Yeah, so he's definitely gonna... I mean, he doesn't really know where to start. Like, he knows he's not an investigator. That was Kurt. And so he doesn't know what happened to him, but he's gonna keep an eye out, right? Like, strange things. Easy thing to look into is this promise thing.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a whole lot of credentials exactly. I don't know if he can keep a hold of the FBI stuff, but he probably has to eventually go back to work.
Yeah, after recovering. Well, and I should also ask you the same question. What's Eli's story about what happened? Because he's still active duty.
Yeah.
On temporary detached duty, but he gets in this accident, and once he's recovered and he heads back to make contact with his unit, what does he say?
What year is this, by the way?
By the time he's all recovered and back to duty, it's probably early January 1996.
Okay. So he's recovered. He he ends up being returned back. After he's released from hospital, he probably has recovery time. Although, how would Delta Green spin that to the army, right? Because they're still a shadow organization. They're not. They don't have a lot of influence. They're not like an official organization.
Yeah. And sorry, it's January 97, not 96.
97. Okay.
But anyway, the operation that he was on checks out anytime his commanding officers look into it, but there is no official explanation for what happened. All of that is classified in his files.
Yep.
And so Eli's just told basically to keep his mouth shut.
So there's a recovery time healing. He's not spending all of that in the hospital. There's probably a good bit of it. He's probably going to need a decent amount of rehabilitation, physical rehab. So he would probably go closer to home, the base, but wouldn't be back on active work yet. So he's gonna meet up with Zach, his army buddy from the Gulf War, and sees like Eli's kind of messed up. The right side of his face is all scarred up and kind of messed up. Luckily he's able to save his eye, but he's never gonna hit on someone at that bar again. Exactly.
As if you were the type to do that in the first place.
I know. A little bit of a Garrus situation going on. Yeah, so him and Zach meet up, and Zach has him come out fishing with him, which puts Eli in the wrong light right off the bat. But they spend some time out there, and the only thing he mentions about the whole thing was that he asked Zach about this time in the Gulf and the oil fires. Did he ever see anything weird in the oil fires? And Zach has this time where he doesn't say anything, and he gives kind of an answer that is probably due to a bad experience, right? And it's just sort of a shrugging off of the whole thing. So Zach is turned away, and he gets suddenly splashed by something, and he thinks that Eli had just sort of splashed him with some of the lake water, but he'd actually sprayed him. And there's a moment where he just shines a flashlight over him, just real quick, just a little bit, where his paranoia is like how far and how far back. And the camera doesn't actually see what Eli sees. So we don't know. Does Zach have protomatter on him? Did he see it, or did Eli just imagine he saw whatever he saw?
Behind Eli's back, we see this spray bottle, unmarked, and a pen light with a UV filter on it as he clicks it off.
And
Oh god, that's so intense.
the next scene, he's standing out among he's taking a trip. He's in Lancaster, and he's sort of standing. There's not I don't know if for those of you who've not been in Lancaster, it's not a terribly hilly situation. But there are areas where you could sort of look out, and so he's staring down this long driveway, and it's dirt. It's not macadam. It's not paved. And far in the distance, you can see what looks like a farm, and some people working. And he's got like this look on his face, like, okay. Like he's trying to decide whether to take one more step back onto that path. And he doesn't. And he turns, and the camera just sees that he's got his pistol in his back pocket. And he walks away from that. But he ends up coming across a horse and buggy that's coming the opposite way, and this person calls out to him, and it's a one of the young men that he knew growing up in the community, and he recognizes him. Asks him what happened to him. He never came back from. He heard he didn't come back from his Rumspringa, and that he joined an army. Is that why his face is all messed up? And he jokingly says, "No, I was hit by an English car. Of all things, the army was the safest place I've ever been." And they have a kind of an uncomfortable couple words of discussion, and Eli opens his mouth to say something, and the other guy says before he can say anything, "She's fine." And Eli just sort of goes quiet, and he wants to ask so bad, does she have a kid? he has enough mysteries. And that one's so mundane and solvable that he's going to keep that for a time when there's something unsolvable. And he needs to just know something. So after that, he just sort of walks away and heads back to the army base. And a sort of scene wipe happens. And now he's back in the office doing health intake, which is the most boring job for a combat medic you can have. This is essentially helping doctors do intake on people on a base. It's like you're a small town nursing assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of, and he just keeps looking at his brand new, to him, cellular phone. And he just keeps waiting for it to ring. And it just never does. Until the screen goes black like it's cutting away. And then there's a ring. But who knows who it's from? Is it Delta Green? Or is it just Zach checking up on him? I guess we'll know some other time. And yeah,
Excellent.
that's Eli post this, whatever this is.
Yeah. Excellent. As for Max, I asked before, and I think you mentioned Eli might look into him. He might want to find out what happened to that kid, and I don't know. Does Blake have any curiosity about Max as well?
I think that she is worried about them. Like, I hope they're doing well. But she's not as curious about that so much as she is about, like, the incident in general.
Yeah.
And kind of, so she is kind of, like, keeping an eye out for any news about it. But she's not, like, gonna, like, get weird about it.
Sure. Yeah, and
So, short answer, I guess, no, she's not really, like, trying to hunt Max down or anything like that.
would Eli ever put any, like, records requests in or anything like that about Max?
I mean, he's got limited ability to find him, but I think he would try. I mean, he's definitely gonna, like, use whatever resources he can, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look him up. The internet is slowly coming online in 1996.
Yeah.
You can't really search for email addresses yet, but you're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he gets AOL installed in his barracks room.
You can do crazy things with that internet. You can order pet food.
You can order pet. I mean,
Oh my God.
This is slightly back in the day when you could. But I mean, BBSs were a little earlier. But you know, he can. There are chat rooms that are not actually monitored by the government.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Delta Green. I don't know. But you know, joins conspiracy chat rooms, MIRC chat rooms. For those of you out there who are old enough to remember the MIRC. You know, and just kind of dives down into the pre-dark web. Like, there was no dark web in the 90s, but just where people are for the first time across the world able to talk to each other about the craziest bullshit.
Uh-huh.
And so that's where I think he goes. he wants to find out if anybody
Okay.
else has learned anything.
I would like a pair of rolls from you for this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I would like one for bureaucracy and one for SIGINT.
Okay. Bureaucracy. Well, this should be a good one. Hey, I got a cool 30%. Here we go. Well, what do you know? It's a 41 over 30.
So, Eli has some experience dealing with the army, which is one of the world's largest bureaucracies, and he's trying to, use that to get records outside, and he's able to confirm that, like, somebody named Max Bauman used to work for a Radio Shack in Michigan. And you're not able to find very much about that. There's not a lot of family or anything like that. The last... at some point you put in one of those early public record request websites. You maybe pay a couple of bucks for what's essentially an online PI to go and find out what they can. And the last vestige you're able to find of Max Bauman is the purchase of a plane ticket to Washington, D.C. into Dulles International.
And when was that?
And that was the day after your crash in Groversville.
Okay, so as far as I know, he's still alive, but he's in DC.
So you can tell he got out of Groversville, he got to an airport, and from there seems to be no Max Bauman.
Or somebody who looks like Max Bauman. Escaped.
Exactly.
Well. And whenever I get the chance to get away from wherever the hell I'm stationed, I might take a trip to DC.
Uh-huh.
And then get there and realize this is a large city. There's no chance of finding it.
And on top of that, also roll that SIGINT for me.
Oh yeah. Hey, an 82 over 40.
All right.
How does computer work?
Yeah, that's the roll you didn't want to succeed on.
Oh, good.
You spend some time on some boards, and there's the public story, which is that there was a train that derailed just outside of Groversville, a neurotoxin that was on its way to being destroyed as part of the reduction in nuclear armaments at the end of the Cold War. A railcar full of these artillery shells was on its way through Groversville. It derailed. Some of the shells broke open, and unfortunately, this military-grade neurotoxin got into the groundwater, and Groversville is essentially a ghost town now. You're able to find stories from people who say that they lived there, that they saw the things that went down, and people swear that there were unknown helicopters, black helicopters, buzzing the city for days after this supposed spill, and then FEMA employees came in full body yellow hazmat gear with respirators, and there are some photos circulating on the internet to be of these agents in hazmat gear with flamethrowers scorching things unseen in the town. And there are a lot of photos of little green men popping their heads out of corners that look like they could be in Groversville. Blurry photos of what could be the woods of Tennessee with a figure back behind the tree line.
Well, that was definitely true.
Yeah, and so what I was going to say here is that if Eli were to succeed on that roll, he would be making a sanity roll, because maybe he finds something true. But overall, this becomes a new bone for the entire conspiracy theory community to chew on. And they will probably be chewing on this one for decades. This is the kind of thing that the official story wears even more thin than anything that anyone has ever said about the moon landing or the JFK assassination or anything like that. Suddenly, Groversville, this town full of UFOs, has to be essentially burned to the ground.
Well, couldn't have happened to a nicer town.
Yeah, and the public at large seems to think that something did happen, however loudly the government says that it was just this chemical spill.
I was just thinking that Eli would have suggested, if they were going to ask him what to do about Groversville, he would have just told them, nuke it from orbit. Take a battleship
Honestly,
and bomb it. Just get rid of it, man.
You even go so far as to find out that there are names of dozens of people who are, talking about their experience in Groversville, seemingly normal people who were evacuated. Many of them say the government's story. Others say that they started feeling strange when they came into town, particularly a pair of tourists. A woman in her late 30s with her daughter, who's 7 or 8, were in town meeting up with the girl's biological father. So they didn't live there, but they were visiting at the time. And they say that they started feeling strange when they came into town. They started feeling like they couldn't think properly, or like they were constantly being watched. And when there's suddenly black helicopters in the sky and National Guard APCs rolling down Main Street, they ran for it.
See, that's what we needed. That's the kind of response we should have had when we first went to that town.
Uh-huh.
But no. Pistols and FBI badges. Ugh.
And then there's Kurt Becker.
Yes.
Nobody sees Kurt Becker's face ever again. Some stories just end. Delta Green sends agents, maybe brand new agents, to his home in Northern Virginia, and they find light duty. His condo is sparsely furnished, barely decorated. There's a dusty old family photo from his college graduation on the wall to the right of his desk. His mom stands beaming in a green dress. His father in his army dress uniform, looking stern but with a satisfied smile, and Kurt's in the middle, looking excited and impossibly young. But there's no need to inform any family. His parents died in a car accident in '87. They had no other children. Nothing mysterious about the car accident. They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. His bank statement showed that he had been saving most of his money. No long-term investments. It seemed like maybe he been saving up for something in particular, but he left behind no notes. Maybe something to do with the woman beside him in a photo on his desk, his ex-wife, Katrina. The two of them smile in front of a bright blue sky in the Swiss Alps, Katrina's arms around Kurt's waist and her head of curly blonde hair tilted into his chest. Kurt still looks young in that photo, barely a hint of the wrinkles and lines that would mark him when he worked for Delta Green. And he looks happy, relaxed, and genuinely happy, not happy with a hint of menace that he played on the job. And on the desk next to the picture of Kurt and Katrina, there were a few brochures and guidebooks, all in German. Maybe he was going to visit her, maybe stay a while, persuade her to move back, try again. The agents who clean up his place aren't able to determine for sure. Phone records show he hadn't called her in a very long time. Every few years, something makes Katrina think about him. And she goes on the internet to see, to look for whatever happened to that handsome young man who became so sour and angry. So much so that she couldn't bear to be under the same roof anymore, but she never finds anything. The trail doesn't go cold, it's just that there's no trail. He always did say he had to keep a low profile for work, though, so Katrina just wonders a little bit more, shrugs, and goes on with her day. Some stories just end, and some people just seem to vanish without a trace. So it is with Kurt Becker. And then we fade to black for a moment, and then fade back into a wide shot. Groversville from above. Streets are empty. There's a FEMA tent city now covering what was once the fairgrounds. Agents in hazmat suits use chainsaws to cut down telephone lines. A man in a yellow clean suit dumps a fluorescent liquid into a well. In a government lab somewhere, there is a steel autopsy table where they have begun to dissect the formless blob of faces and spines and backs and legs all sticking out at odd angles. The blob has to be made up of more than one person. Cutting into it reveals nothing more than the color of original silly putty. It's skin color all the way down. It twitches slightly as agents cut it apart, drop it into biohazard marked red buckets. Looking into this room, a young man closes a folder with a green triangle on the front and no other marking. The case file at the on the front page lists J-cell. Failure, protomatter class C, surveillance pending. And we cut to the back seat of a dark SUV. It is November 2001. The Escalade engine roars as the SUV winds through a forested road. In white text, we see that we are now in northern Vermont. Sitting in the back seat is a woman in a gray suit, reading something, a dossier. There's a photo attached by a paperclip to the front page. A young woman now, maybe 18 years old. A name, Robin Bullock. Stamped on the front of the folder, Project Presence. And as she flips past several pages, she finds a black and white, many times photocopied map of the US Eastern Seaboard. Several areas are crosshatched in red. Groversville is circled. And so is this hilly area of Vermont. And we fade to black. And that will be Convergence.
How satisfying is that?
What happens to Vermont?
What's that?
We'll have to see.
What's going to happen to Vermont?
Oh no.
We'll have to see when we come back after a hiatus to give a try to Operation Presence.
Well, like I said, I really like Delta Green. I wanna do more of it. But now that I've played it once, I feel like I know a little bit more about how to build an agent that's not going to possibly die immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But also, anything that you think you can do to keep your agent safe.
Yep.
No.
You can't.
No. Sorry.
Yeah, I, honestly, being flung through a windshield into a power station was not at all on my how am I going to die in this operation bingo board. So
Yeah, dude.
There were so many options. And,
Hard
and you
to
picked the
agree,
one
I
I
did
never
not.
saw coming.
Of
Well, we
course.
saw that. I can tell you what we did see coming. That was that power station.
Yeah. The dice didn't go your way on that when you did start
No.
trying to kill it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That was, yeah, that didn't work out. That didn't work out for us, at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
this is Convergence is the very first operation that was ever written and released for Delta Green.
Really?
Yes. Like 1992, when this was just, here's how you update Call of Cthulhu to play in the 90s. They created this as yeah, this is what Delta Green is about. And TBH, they left it a whole lot more lethal than most operations are, and
Okay.
that's really saying something. You guys didn't even get to the scene that is known for wiping groups.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, it's when the black helicopters get involved.
Oh, sure.
Guns
Well-
come out, there are government cover-ups and whatnot. Yeah, it's hard to survive that stuff.
Bet.
Does the black helicopters hunt us?
I'm not going to spoil anything.
Ah, damn it. Yeah,
Partly
that's fair.
because maybe you want to try again someday, and partly because the black helicopters aren't gone.
Oh.
They
Good.
will be back.
Well, one thing to note
Right.
is if we ever try this again, first thing I'm going is up to Merle Barnes and being like, how you doing? Blammo.
Yup.
I'm not metagaming. I'm just cutting my chances.
Oh my god.
So,
Amazing.
who's your character? He really hates men named Merle. Bad experience in the past, immediately shoots on sight.
I had a bad experience.
They call me deaf.
Oh my god.
That
I'm getting
is
reference.
amazing.
That's I love that movie.
We'll cut off the recording there. Thank you for everyone who has listened in to this operation. This is how operations sometimes go, and the most logical thing to do is end and see what the fallout is. But yeah, we do intend to come back for some more Delta Green. Might be some other things on the channel for a little while we get that set up. But thank you all for listening.